Hi, everybody, and welcome into our webinar today, Creating More from Your Content. My name is Jeffrey Short. I am a Director of Platform Engagement here at MarketScale. Really excited to talk about this topic today and get more mileage out of everything that you're already doing. I'm joined here today by my colleague, one of our sales extraordinaires, our podcast extraordinaires, David Kemp. David, how are you today?
What's up, everybody? Man, I'm better than I deserve. Happy to be here. This is a topic I'm excited to talk about. It's something I've reaped the benefits of in my role as leading the healthcare vertical here at MarketScale, and it's an awesome opportunity for our partners, for our customers, for those out there that are already creating or looking at creating more. And so this will be fun. Hopefully, we all learn something, and we appreciate you being here.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And I want to start by picking your brain a little bit as someone who has a really strong podcast, Highway to Health. Really recommend everyone out there check it out, especially if, obviously, of course, if you're in the healthcare industry where you interview thought leaders in that space. So really the point of today's conversation is trying to alleviate some of the common problems that people think that they have, right? I don't have enough time to create as much content as I would like to. I would love to get our sales team or our product development team more involved in content, but they're camera shy, right? So how do we still fill up our social media pipeline or our website media player? So we're going to address some of those common concerns here with how you are probably already doing a lot of things that can be turned into content. And with the help of the MarketScale team, we're able to take a lot of that off your plate. We just need a little bit of direction. So that's what we're here to solve or shine a light on, is avoiding those common concerns. And I guarantee there are people out there right now who have the means to be creating a lot more content without doing really any more work, or at least I should say without doing any more filming of content. A lot of this is just stuff that needs to be extrapolated out of the ground of what you already have. So David, I want to turn to you. We actually have a screenshot. Actually, it's a live internet feed here of your LinkedIn. And one thing that you do a great job of is you do your podcast, but ultimately it sometimes is more all about the social clips. So I want to just turn to you a little bit here. Why do you do these little social clips? Why do that and publish that on LinkedIn versus your full length episodes, for example?
Yeah. So, first of all, I think the purpose, if you get to the root of it, the purpose of our conversation today is we want to help our listeners, the people watching, get the credit for the work that they're already doing. And, I come from this as a sales guy, so I empathize with the sales teams out there that, look, I know how busy you are, but I also know some of the great conversations that you're having. I also know how much of an expert you are in your field. And your expertise can teach somebody something new. And the people that you're talking to can teach somebody something new. And that's kind of our responsibility as sales guys, is to help find a problem to a solution, help find a solution to a problem that our community is facing. And so, the Highway to Health podcast is really meant for that purpose. But what I understand is not everybody has 30 minutes of their day to listen to a full podcast, hoping they get out of it what they need. And so I use social clips like this that you see on your screen here to try to, like we do in our personal lives, watch the highlights of a game that we weren't able to catch. And that's what these snippets, these vignettes, these clips are meant to do. Let's get you the information that you need, that's most valuable to you, in as short of a time period as possible. So, I have these 30-minute conversations with thought leaders across healthcare, and they're great for me. I love giving these contributors an opportunity to be positioned as a thought leader, as an expert, allowing them to educate, engage, inspire the community. But I want to get that information to you in an easy to consume way, easy to digest way. And so the platform MarketScale Studio is meant to do that easily. And so I, through the platform, make a request, hey, give me these 30 seconds. The editing's done for me. The branding is done for me. And then I share that on my socials. I share it through email. I share it through text message. I share it every way possible so that I can meet the community where they are. They can learn from it. They can engage with it. And you know what? If they're really inspired by it, if they're really interested in it, they might decide during their workout, they might decide during their next commute to tune into the full episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to provide just the highlights and let them make the decision based on their interest on their own time, at their own time. And so that's what these clips are meant to do. I've already done the work, having the full conversation.
Yeah.
Now let's get the information to the community in the easiest way possible. And that's what these clips are great for.
Yeah. I mean, you obviously make a ton of great points there. And to be really crystal clear with our audience here, you mentioned this, but I want to make sure this is clear and with the theme of our show. When we're talking about like social media clips here from a podcast, it's not to say that you're recording a trailer or anything like that. We're literally just pulling the golden nuggets from the episode, the most important thought leadership from that episode. So if you are familiar with Studio, to our clients out there, you can just go into that podcast edit and timestamp. I want this clip here. I want that clip here. I want that clip here. Boom. You've got 3 new social media clips. That'll really extend that shelf life of that episode. More frequent touch points. And we know it takes several touch points with prospects to get the deal across the line, or to people that you're marketing to take that action that you're wanting them to take, right? So it's important to have more ammunition to work with in your kind of monthly calendar, I should say. So I love all that stuff you just said. And I know we're looking at David's podcast here. We're looking at the proofing room where our clients can go in and, right, you just leave your notes, and that's where your social clips will begin and end. So no more time invested other than that. You're not re-recording anything. But I also liked your point, David, about shareability. And I would ask you, you're obviously posting these social clips. You said you're texting them, you're emailing them, highly consumable compared to a full length episode or anything of that nature. Are you getting more engagement, more comments on things like that? I feel like for me, my clients are actually asking me for the social clips even more than the episode. They're like, where are the social clips? Where are the social clips? They're not even as concerned with the full length episode because they know that's what, like you said, you can text that more easily. You can send it in an email without the email bouncing back, right? So they're more concerned with that. But I wonder, from your perspective, are you finding more pointed comments, more likes, more reshares with the social clips?
Yeah. I mean, a big part of this strategy is consistency, right? It's, we use the analogy or the metaphor of it's kind of like working out, right? The more you do it, the better returns, the better results that you get out of this type of strategy. And so a 30-minute conversation could result in, 10 or more social clips of 30
easily.
seconds, 30 seconds or under a minute. And so for a 30-minute conversation, now I can be really consistent in my posting, in my engagement. And I take one conversation and now I have enough content to drip out over the course of a week, every day almost. That breeds consistency, which then builds the results that you're looking for. Everybody wants to see the results. They want to see their followers go up. They want to see their engagement go up. They, at the end of the day, as a sales guy, they want to see more awareness and interest in the solution that they're bringing to market. This is an easy way to do that. It's an easy way to take one conversation and build a whole strategy around the next 2 weeks around your social posting and social engagement. And so absolutely, it's easier on me. It's easier on my community to learn from and engage with. And the results, really, you start to see them exponentially increasing because consistency is a big part of this strategy. And this makes it easy to execute on that.
Yeah. And I love what we're showing here. I mean, you can see all the comments below this little snippet of a video. I mean, I find that the social clips, because they're a little more pointed in nature, right? It's one clip on one topic. It can generally start conversation pretty easily, or debate even. So I love this example that our producer has pulled up here. But just for the sake of time, I don't want to have our audience here feel like they're going to be here for an hour with us. But so I'll kind of move into some other topics here. We've started with podcasts. I think that's kind of the low-hanging fruit, right? You do a long-form piece of content. You can extrapolate the social media clips out of it that are highly shareable, no extra work. But this is not a conversation that is solely about podcasting. These principles apply everywhere. And you can see the media hub that Zach, our producer, has pulled up. And one thing I love about this channel here is actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we have the right thing up here. They have a section that's called 60 seconds or less. So it's the fast lane for content. And that's often where people want to go. They want to get a quick glimpse of something. They know pretty quickly if they're interested. And like you said, David, if they are really interested, they will find that long form piece of content and watch it on their commute or during their workout, like you mentioned. But I do want to, of course, reiterate to our audience, this strategy can be used for your on-site videos. Obviously, we're going to do it with this live webinar, right? We're going to extract the social clips from that. So that's an easy thing there. But any final thoughts, David? On
I want to touch on something
podcast?
that you just, something you just mentioned. You know, keep your end goal in mind, right? If your end goal is to drive engagement to the longer form content, consider that when deciding which clips, short snippets you want to pull from that conversation. You may not want to answer every question in those short snippets. You may want to leave a cliffhanger. You may want to give a nugget of knowledge that leads to a question. You may not want to answer everything with those snippets. A cool strategy I've seen some of our customers, some of our partners leverage is just tickling that fancy, that interest enough to get people to ask the next question. And typically that next question comes in a comment. The next question comes in an email. That next question might even come in a phone call. And you can use cliffhangers. You can leave a little to the imagination so that those people, that community that you're serving thinks of a question that they wouldn't have thought of prior. And that might lead to a conversation, which for a salesperson, for an organization that's looking to grow, that's the ticket, right? All we're hoping to do is gain a conversation so that we can build a relationship, so that we can build awareness, so that we can educate, we can teach them something new, we can lead them to a solution that makes their life better. So don't feel like you have to answer every question in 60 seconds. Don't feel like you have to answer every question with each snippet that you clip out. Sometimes you might want to lead them to a question that they weren't aware of before. And so that strategy can be nuanced. And some of the more fascinating partners, fascinating strategies that we've seen is meant to lead to that next question. Make them think about their problem in a new way, reframe the situation, which leads to a conversation.
I love it. And absolutely, one thing I also want to just point out on our webinar here, it's not to do social content or any content just for content's sake, right? I mean, obviously, in today's day and age, you do need content, but really thinking of the purpose behind what you're doing is obviously important. And it's not always even about getting 100 million views, right? 10 views that are all actual legitimate prospects is better than 100 million non-buyers, right? So good point there. I wanted to move through our outline here quickly. One thing, I won't touch on this a ton because I'd like to get through some of the other items here, but in a similar vein here, and we did a webinar recently on tags in Studio, which should help organize people's content as they're creating more, but like combination videos, right? So end of year recaps, getting all that footage that we already have and doing something with that. Or I know trade show season is picking up right now. I'm sure people are going to the same shows year after year. what can we repurpose from last year's event to make a promotional piece or another recap piece for this year's event? So that's another easy strategy of, as time goes on, you're banking more and more content. Can we put it together? Can we just refresh it for the next year, et cetera? So that's another area. And I wonder, David, I'll turn to you quickly. Anything around that strategy? I know you go to a lot of trade shows. Is there anything that comes to mind on that front?
Yeah, really good question, and something that I think is an opportunity that not enough people leverage. Is, we're going on site, and usually we have, we'll have 4K cameras, lighting equipment, sound equipment, and we'll have this great on-site video or multiple on-site videos.
Yep.
But our platform, and what really plays well with our communities, is community generated content. It's cell phone footage, it's webcam footage. And then what do we typically do? We add stock footage, or we add B-roll that we find elsewhere.
Right.
One cool thing that I've seen some of our partners starting to leverage is repurposing those on-site videos as B-roll for their community generated content. So instead of going and getting random B-roll that probably aligns with the message, they're actually using their own footage, their own professional on-site footage to, polish up that community generated content. It's usually more relevant. It's usually their own people, and it's usually in the same setting that, the community generated content is meant for, which provides a whole nother level of authenticity to that community generated content. And it really professionalizes it, polishes it up in a way that is unique. It's special. And so a lot of our partners do on-site video. They do live events. They do community generated content. Some of the coolest pieces we've seen is bringing all three of those types of media together by splicing different pieces out of each type to put together really cool community generated content and other pieces. That is all their people. It's all their branding. It's all their messaging. And it's not some random piece of stock footage or B-roll that, that we find in another location on another site. So that's a cool way that I've seen people using all different types of media to build out a repurposed piece of content.
Absolutely. I mean, certainly with how many on-site videos we're doing, I know every client, but not every client, but I mean, certainly a lot of clients have a lot of on-site footage that it's sort of easy to set it and forget it in a way where you are using that footage for that immediate project, but not thinking about how we can tailor other content around their specific people and brand by using that old footage. So that's a great reminder there. That actually kind of does segue into a point I was going to make at the end here, but I'll just mention it now while we're talking about it. I mentioned tags will keep things a little bit more organized and accessible for clients, and we did a webinar on that. The other thing, though, that I think will really help here going forward for partners, and actually we're doing it retroactively as well, where old on-sites we're uploading into the platform, but now clients will see this as they do their next on-site video. All of that raw footage is going to be uploaded right into Studio for you. So if you needed to access raw footage in the past, you own all of the content. So you've always been able to get it, but you'd have to go through your digital media strategist. We had to get it from the server, and then it just causes delays. It's a little bit of a clunky process. Now all of that is going to be immediately accessible through Studio. So to your point, David, about using some of that footage in other videos, it's going to be a lot easier and a lot more turnkey for clients. So if you weren't aware of that, clients, look out for that in your feed after your next on-site video. All of that raw footage will be available for you to mold into whatever you need for future use. So good point there. And this is one thing that it's really the last thing on my agenda here. And I know we have a couple of different examples, David, if we want to pull anything up. And I see we have Premio up here. I think this was a great example, actually, of just making a combination video like we spoke about earlier, right? So they basically put together like a podcast highlight reel. And or actually, sorry, what we're showing here, I know Premio has done that, what we're showing here is something that I really think is a hidden gem. And that is not just thinking of how can I repurpose my video content? How can I repurpose my other content? Blogs, white papers, infographics. If you already have all those materials, right? You have a 1,000-word blog post. There's a lot of great information in there. And to David's point, if we have other B-roll from on-site videos, et cetera, we can turn that into a great video like you're seeing here, where we're able to add a little voiceover and just make a companion piece to that blog, to that white paper, et cetera. So,
all right, you're touching on something that's near and dear to my heart. So I lead the healthcare vertical here at MarketScale.
Right.
Obviously, healthcare is a very regulated industry. A lot of our partners, the pharma space, the med tech space, the med device space, so highly regulated that they have to get a lot of content printed and approved early on in the year. And they spend a ton of time doing this. They spend a ton of money doing this, putting this written literature together and getting it approved early in the year. One of the best ways to get that information to your community in a compliant way, but also in a way that is easily to digest, easily to engage with, is an example just like this, where you're taking that written content, you're pulling the exact language from that approved written content and repurposing it into short form media. So you're compliant, you're accurate, but you're meeting your community where they are with the type of media that's easy to consume on any platform, right, where they go to learn, whether that's LinkedIn, Twitter, social media of any kind, your website. They would rather almost every time listen or watch a piece of content than read it, because it's easier to do when they're multitasking. So get the most out of that content that you spent so much time and so much money on, getting it approved, getting it written, repurpose it in media like this. You've already done the work. Now get the most credit out of it. And this is a good example of something like that we've seen really pay off in the healthcare industry.
I love it. I mean, I see this all the time, right? I see a very robust blog section or, news section on a client website. And it's, such an opportunity where you're already putting in the effort to get that blog written, and you're even probably getting the product owner or the salesperson to contribute to that. Let's just make a little video companion with it that you can put on LinkedIn, for example, as opposed to, a thumbnail, or, I see sometimes people even post the picture of the full blog, all that text, just making that little video companion. And again, this is about making more from your content. It's not going to take a lot of work. Just send us the blog. We'll create something creative for you. And that's kind of the bait you can use to then get people to that blog, to get people to that news. So one key takeaway that I don't think people think about enough is multimedia, or getting more from the content that is not video and coupling it. It's not to say that you stop doing blogs. It's not to say that you stop doing white papers, but creating a video component to it, as David mentioned, to better meet people with where or how they consume content. It's nothing but a bonus. So, and like you said, I mean, it's going to make you look good for all of our marketing managers out there. If you're tasked with writing a blog or creating a white paper, and you come back to your superiors with a full multimedia strategy with a video component to it, or even a podcast component to it, it's going to make you look good, I think. So definitely something to consider when you're going over a project, thinking of hitting on a couple of different fronts, right? We have the written aspect of it. We have the visual graphic aspect of it. We have the video aspect of it. And that way you're covering your bases of where people consume media, and then almost going full circle to where we started with the podcast. It now increases that shelf life because you can drip these out over time in a different format.
Yep. And I know we're running up on time here. So this is kind of my, my walk-off moment.
Yeah.
This is a strategy that you see and you engage with literally every day of your life. I'm wearing a Masters t-shirt. It's the opening day of my favorite golf tournament of the year. You're probably at work right now. You probably can't watch the tournament hole for hole. You can't watch every shot that your favorite player hits. But what are you going to do this evening? You're going to go on social media and you're going to watch clips. You're going to watch highlights. You're going to tune into ESPN. You're going to see the highlights. You're going to get the summary of that event. And then you're going to make a decision on how you want to engage with the long form. What the PGA Tour understands, shout out PGA Tour, good partner of ours. What they understand is they have to get you the information that you need when you're available to engage with it. You have the same obligation. You have the same demand from your community. Just because it's B2B doesn't change how people consume, how they engage, how they become inspired, how they want to learn. Take what you know from your personal life. Take how you act and behave personally. Find a way. MarketScale Studio is the easy button to execute on this strategy for your business. And when you do that, we've seen it over and over again. And there, Jeffrey, there's a reason why you and your team have an 85% renewal rate. It's easy, it's cost effective, and you can start doing it right now. And in fact, you probably are doing it right now. Now it's time to get credit for it.
I love it. I think you summed things up really well here. I think in closing, and we'll hang out maybe for a minute for any questions. Certainly if we don't get to all of them on our broadcast, we'll reach out, or certainly for our clients out there, reach out to your digital media strategist to follow up on any of the strategies we went over today. But I think, again, kind of recapping what we spoke about in the intro, we understand time is an issue. Camera shyness can be an issue. Maybe not even having existing video assets yet, but you're doing blogs, you're doing white papers, you're doing graphics. So you're not thinking, it's an easy lift. Let the MarketScale team go to work for you. Bring these concerns to your calls that you have with your DMS and say, hey, I don't have any video content right now as we're getting started maybe with our partnership. I got 100 blogs. What can we do with this, right? We will find a way to repurpose things. Talk to them about your podcast strategy. I think by now, most of our DMS, I'm sure, would be recommending doing little social clips. But certainly, I think my main takeaway is we understand time is precious. We understand that not everyone wants to do a talking head video, but I know you have already in your toolkit the raw materials that are necessary to create more and do it at a very, very low effort, or even no effort if you are careful with how you position things to your digital media strategist here, to get more content, get more shelf life, and as David said, ultimately for you professionally, get credit for it and get better results. So I will leave things there. I am more than happy to answer any questions that anyone has offline even. Feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to your digital media strategist, of course, as a starting point. And if you're not a MarketScale client, of course, reach out to David to get more information. But David, any? I know you gave a great walk-off already. Anything else before we close down here?
You can do it. MarketScale can help, and we'd be happy to. We'd be honored to be a part of the journey. And I like your ingredients analogy. You have the ingredients. Let us help you put them all together to meet the demand from your community.
Well, we'll leave it there. I really appreciate your time and your perspective, David. Some really good points. Thank you all for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Unless something changes, it is next Thursday. We'll be talking about experts. And actually, that's something I know we didn't speak about today. I won't get too much into it here in 1 minute, but speaking of not putting in any real effort or not having to film yourself, tap into other people to do the work for you, to provide the thought leadership for you. So we'll talk about that next week. I look forward to seeing you there. But for now, enjoy the Masters if you're watching. And I know I will check out the highlights tonight because I'm at work, like David said. So thanks again for joining us, and have a great rest of your Thursday afternoon.
Thank y'all.